Hey everybody, welcome back to my carving shed here in Virginia. My name is Hunter. Yeah, so you saw the thumbnail. I am attempting have been attempting to make a ceramic skull. I honestly cannot tell you exactly how I came up with the idea. I love ceramics. I'm a sucker for ceramics. So I just love glazes and that type of thing. And I'm always trying to take different things and incorporate skulls into them. So I think just somewhere along the line I was like, hey, could I make a ceramic skull out of a real skull? So that's what you'll see me do in this video. This is not a how-to video because I am very much an amateur at ceramics and pottery. This is just how I did this process with the skulls. So we'll get into it now. It's pretty cool. It's a lot of interesting things. It's a lot of patience for sure. This is kind of the process that I've come up with so far. So let's jump into it. Okay, so step number one is to fire the skull in a kiln. My good friend Andrew from Cafe Pottery was nice enough to lend me his kiln, a test kiln, so that's what I've been using. Gonna do a raccoon skull. Now the point of firing the skull first is to remove all of the organic material in the skull. Doesn't seem to make a difference in my limited experience firing skulls that there's some grease in the skull. This one wasn't necessarily cleaned properly, but that doesn't seem to matter just because it all gets burnt up. But you want all that organic material to get burnt up so that all the gases get released prior to putting a glaze or the slip on there. Otherwise, if there is organic material in there, it's going to crack and make bubbles in the glaze or the slip. Now, you're going to want to fire it all the way up to the temperature that you ultimately fire it for the glaze. Otherwise, basically, if you fire it up to say 1,000 degrees, there's only so much of the organic material is going to get burnt out. The higher you go, the more organic material burns up. So fire it all the way up to the temperature that you're going to ultimately fire it. That way, all the more organic material gets burnt out of the skull. Now the second thing I figured out to do is to impregnate the bone, the porous areas of the bone, with a ceramic slip. So this is a liquid ceramic, and I'm going to put the skull into there, put this into a vacuum chamber, a vacuum pot, and then we're going to draw all the air out of it, and that will draw that slip, the ceramic, into all the little porous areas of the skull. And that hopefully it gives me a little bit more strength to the skull when I then fire it again and put another glaze on it. Okay, now I'm going to take the skull out of the slip and then actually wash off all of the slip that is on the outside, because I kind of like it better. It maintains more of the skull's shape and stuff if I don't add that layer of slip on the outside of the skull. So I'm just going for whatever slip goes into the inside and not necessarily adding a layer of the slip on the outside. So I'm going to wash that layer off of the outside of the skull. That's what it looks like coming out. And I'm holding it upside down just so that bottom jaw doesn't decide to fall off on me. There we go. Alright, I'll be right back. Now I'm just going to suspend the slip infused skull and let it dry for about a week just to guarantee that there's no moisture in that skull whatsoever, because we gotta fire it again. Yeah. Alright, we'll leave that there. Alright, now that our skull is all dried out, we are going to put it in the kiln and fire it again. We're going to do it for about 7 hours to let that the ceramic slip inside the bone cure. Okay, next to last step before I fire it for the final time is to dip the skull into the glaze. I'm gonna dip it once, let it dry, and then dip it a second time, let it dry, and then we'll go for the kiln. Fire it. Okay, so the glaze actually seems to be a bit thicker than the other ones I've used. This is the first time I've used this one, so I'm just gonna do one coat for now. Hopefully it turns out all right, but let's stick it in the kiln, fire it, and see how this goes. Last step! Almost there, just about 100 degrees more. We'll hit about 1888 degrees Fahrenheit, and then I'll shut her down. Okay, so we hit about 1888 degrees. I'm gonna go ahead and shut it off. Although I really want to open the top and look at it, I'm gonna have some restraint. I'm gonna leave it overnight to cool, and then we will come back in the morning and see how it fared. Alright, snowed a little bit last night, but shouldn't be an issue. We're gonna open it up, and if all my calculations were right, then should be a fairly decent skull, ceramic skull in there. Alright, moment of truth. Ah! Yes. Okay, let's get this thing out of here. Well, I hope you liked watching the process as much as I enjoyed doing it. It's a super fun project. And can you think of all the possibilities if someone like me, an amateur like me, can take a skull and get it to this point with the limited knowledge that I have? There's so many more things I can do with this. There's so many more tests I'm gonna do. A lot of things I do know I can improve on. A lot of things I don't know yet, definitely gonna learn. So please consider subscribing, because eventually I will make a how-to video more in depth once I actually know what I'm doing on how to do this. And then on Instagram, every day I'm posting updates on the ceramic skulls and of course skull carving and other stuff with skulls. So do feel free to follow me on Instagram and subscribe here. So, all right guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the ceramic skull as much as I did. Hey guys, I forgot to say, if you have any questions about this whole ceramic firing skulls process, do feel free to post in the comments below. And then if you have experience with ceramics and you would like to offer any advice, feel free to comment below as well. Half of the results or the success I've had is simply from my followers giving me suggestions to try and different things to test out. So I appreciate that. So leave a comment below.